Let's begin by creating a new flow and giving it a meaningful name. The CSV file is stored in an Azure Blob container, so we need to first add an action that reads the CSV file from the Blob container. With the Read Blob as stream action selected, we then need to pick the file we want to read, which in this case is the actuals.csv file. The Read Blob as stream action returns a generic file stream to us. To read the file stream as a CSV file, we can use the Open CSV file as data reader action. This gives us a data reader that automatically parses the contents of the CSV file into rows and columns. We'll then pick the output from Read Blob as stream as input to this action. We won't configure any column mappings, which means that every field will be read as text. This basically means turning off any form of data validation and integrity checking, which is fine for this example where we just want to import data in its raw format to a database table. The next step is to generate a SQL query to dynamically create the target table. For this, we'll use a function and write a little bit of C# code that uses metadata from the data reader to build a create table statement. We'll just quickly change the title to make it easier for our future selves to understand what it does. Then, we'll add the data reader as a parameter to the function so we can access its APIs. We'll also add a parameter for the table name that we'll use in the create table statement. We'll add a variable to store the table name, so that we can use it multiple places in the flow instead of copy-pasting the name everywhere we need it. This also makes it easy to change the table name in the future, or pass it in from the outside. Let's go back and hook up the table name variable as input to the function. Then, we need to configure the function to return a string, which will be the SQL query. In the code, we'll build a create table statement by looping over the columns in the CSV file and finally returning the query. I'm picking a column length of 250 characters in this demo, but you should adjust it based on your needs. Next, we'll add an action to check if the table already exists. If it doesn't, we'll create it by running the query we just created. I could have made this part of the query, but I wanted to show you how to check if a table exists using a built-in action. If the table does not exist, the action returns false, so we'll add an execute command to the false port. The execute command action will simply run a SQL command against SQL Server, and we'll pass in the command we created in the function. Now that we know that the table exists, the final step is to insert all the rows from the CSV file to the table. For this, we'll use the Insert Data action for SQL Server. We'll pick the CSV data reader as input source, and select the destination table using the table name variable we defined earlier. Now, all we have to do is save and run the flow. Once it's done, we'll switch to Azure Data Studio to see that the table has been created and the data has been imported. Thank you for watching.